Caitlin Clark has changed the dynamic when you're talking about women's basketball. Quite frankly, no one talked about women's basketball for the past 2 decades. And now they are. They're being talked about more than they ever have been in their history. And that's a direct result of Caitlin Clark. However, in the Caitlin Clark fiasco, there's another person, that's Angel Reese, who the media has decided is going to be their bell cow, the person they're rooting for against Caitlin Clark. Not sure why this is, not sure why so many people at ESPN and so many black commentators have Angel Reese's back instead of Caitlin Clark's. I can't imagine why that would be. But now that the WNBA season is in full swing, we have people who are saying who they think should be the rookie of the year. And despite Caitlin Clark's numbers, and despite Caitlin Clark changing the entire game, and despite the betting odds in Vegas being very clearly on Caitlin Clark, you have a lot of commentators who are voicing their opinions the other way, that they think that Angel Reese should be the rookie of the year, including this person. Anti-Caitlin Clark ESPN pundit moves rookie of the year goalpost to favor Angel Reese. And it's all from this clip here. Monica McNutt, the same person that Stephen A. Smith got in a massive argument about when it came to Caitlin Clark, and all this shit we've seen Caitlin Clark going through, all these women in the WNBA, all these women in the mainstream media trying to tear her down because she's a straight white female who happens to be good at basketball. And just listen to her thought process for when it comes to rookie of the year.
I have said this all season, BC. My rookie of the year is going to go based on the standings.
Okay.
Because I think that is how you have the opportunity to measure impact.
And the sky's right above them.
And the sky right now are in the playoffs, so you'd have to give the nod in my mind to Angel Reese. Look, the double-double.
This is the way I'm going to go. I'm going to use the standings. That's going to be the way that I judge things. It would be one thing if the Chicago Sky were like the best team in basketball, had a massive turnaround or something like that. You want to look at these standings and see what the big difference between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. Chicago Sky ranked 7th out of fucking, what is this, 12 teams? By the way, there's only 12 teams in the WNBA. 8 of them make the playoffs. So the idea that someone made the playoffs should not be like, oh my God, they're so great. Right below them's the Indiana Fever. Like, you can't make this shit up. Chicago Sky, Indiana Fever, right now, if the season ended today, both would be in the playoffs. And in most statistical categories, Caitlin Clark's dominating Angel Reese. Angel Reese gets more rebounds, but Caitlin Clark is having a season unlike anything we've ever seen. And it's funny because in the immediate aftermath of all these different commentators suddenly weighing in saying Angel Reese should be supported, Angel Reese should be the rookie of the year, what did Caitlin Clark go do? The first triple-double for an NBA rookie or a WNBA rookie in history. 19 points, 13 assists, 12 rebounds.
That's awesome.
It's such a joke. And Angel Reese is even retweeting the Chicago Sky saying the front runner for rookie of the year. This is the next big controversy that people in the woke mainstream media are trying to put out there, that Angel Reese should be the rookie of the year ahead of Caitlin Clark to get some kind of own.
Yeah, they're reaching. They're reaching for. They're pushing the goalpost back, and they're reaching for whatever kind of narrative that they can to spin it in Angel Reese's direction. Anything that they can take away from Caitlin Clark, any extra measurement that they can use against Caitlin Clark, they're going to use it. They're going to exhaust the fuck out of it. Even though, you know, Caitlin Clark clearly, I think, is the front runner. Like you said, the Vegas odds are on Caitlin Clark. They're doing everything they can to spin whatever kind of narrative. And now they're taking the record of the team into account. I mean, I remember when Alex Rodriguez won MVP of the league on the Texas Rangers, and the Rangers were the worst team in the MLB. How many times has Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani won MVP with the Angels when the Angels are just absolute garbage? Like, you don't need to be the MVP or rookie of the year on a great team that makes a deep playoff run. That's usually not how it works.
Yeah, and I think that when you are talking about things like MVP, I'm not going to deny that you do take other things into effect sometimes. Oftentimes, it might not end up, especially in the NBA or something, might not be the best player, but it might be a player on the best team that had like an incredible season or whatever, right? So sometimes we see this. And it would be one thing if the Chicago Sky were the best team in the league and the Fever were the worst team, and maybe that was because of the addition of Angel Reese. But none of that's fucking true. right? They have almost identical records. The Chicago Sky have basically not improved since last year with their record. This is right where they were last year. Indiana Fever were the third worst team in the league, so they've gotten a little bit better. But guess who was Rookie of the Year last year? A person for the Indiana Fever who had the third worst record in the league. So the idea that they're trying to reframe all this stuff, and just because they can't win on the stats, and you can even see some of this right here, just because they can't win when you look at the actual numbers, when you look at the head-to-head, when you look at these stats, because Angel Reese can't win that way, they're trying to give her, well, you know, her team's right ahead of them in the standings. And that's really the big difference in my mind. It's just such bullshit. And people can see right through it. And the one thing to worry about is I don't know who the WNBA Rookie of the Year voters are. I don't know who these people are. I don't know if they're former players. I don't know if they're people in the media. I don't know who all has a vote. But I know one thing, there's going to be a lot of people in the media that are voting specifically for someone, not because of their play on the floor, but because of identity politics and because of all this racial bullshit. Like, that's 100% going to happen.